And welcome to Charlotte Sports Today, everyone. I'm Chaz Bryant. We got a great show coming up. It's the Super Bowl in a couple of days, and I got some guys who have some opinions about it and how this NFL season went down. The guys from Sports Chatter 101, if I can get it out. We got George Hazlitt here, thank you. JP Perez, thank you, coming in. And Mr. Ed Billick, not Bill Billick, which I almost said in rehearsal there just a second ago. Thank you very much, guys, for being here. Let's first talk about our NFL team here, the Carolina Panthers. They had a 6-10 season. A nice, respectable season with a new quarterback coming in. Just tell us about what you think about, I'll start with you, George, about how you think this last year was with the new quarterback in Cam Newton, about maybe the prospects for next season coming up.
Well, I've got to be honest. I was pleasantly surprised with Cam Newton. These guys will tell you, I was not in favor of us drafting him. And I really thought we should have went defense, a defensive guy. And when I saw him play the first game, it was like, wow. And then the second game, it was even more wow. So I think, obviously Cam was the big story of the year, and the whole offense. The offense was good. The defense not so much, obviously. So next year, I think the offense is pretty set. We need a new. I think we need to get a right tackle, because I don't know if Otai's coming back or not, and I don't trust him if he is. So we need some to plug some holes on offense just as backups. But the defense is where we're in trouble. We have no pass rush, and we have no defensive backfield. The linebacking core is okay, but other than that, we're in trouble.
How much longer do we think Steve Smith is going to be around on this team?
Personally, Steve's going to stay around. I really feel he feels invigorated with this offense, the direction of the offense, the new coaching staff, especially having a young kid in Cam Newton who likes to play the kind of ball that Steve wants to play. He wants to throw the long ball, doesn't want to settle for the dink and dunk unless he has to. That's all Steve ever wants. Steve wants to stretch the field. He wants to go make highlight catches. This offense allows him to do that. To piggyback what George is saying, not to get off top, but defensive backfield is where we need help.
Yeah.
Offense is set because you can plug in a right guard to me. You can go find a right guard in free agency to fill a 2-year gap until you can draft a guy. But again, Steve is not going anywhere. He's happy. He's happy in Carolina. I really feel he's happy. They'll get the deal done. He'll stay at Carolina Panther. No worries.
What's your opinions on this season there, Ed?
Well, I tell you what, Cam Newton not only put the game back on the field for us, but he put the people back in the seats. He reinvigorated this whole city, this whole area for football. They lost some pretty close games there, and we were just happy they were in the game, as opposed to last year where people just turn off the TVs and doing something else. So not only reinvigorated the franchise in a way that is unbelievable, reinvigorated Steve Smith, which is, I think Steve wants to play 4 more years. So there's a kind of a desire to let's go out and make it happen now and rally around. And then to George's point, let's get some defense, all right? It was pathetic on the defense. Absolutely pathetic. And you're going like this, what the heck's going on? So I think with a good draft, a couple, 2 or 3 players, boy, next year, look out, it's going to be outstanding.
Is that where they need to go to in this draft coming up in April, that get stronger on, maybe get some better safeties out there coming up? Is it,
a couple D-backs maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a great lineman coming out.
No.
So probably gonna have to go in the defensive backfield, and then pick up some free agent linemen or some lower round linemen. But
what I would love to see is let's go draft a guy like Ed Reed.
Yeah.
Let's go get I think it's Webster out of LSU. Go get a defensive back who can lock a guy down. We don't have to worry about that side of the field. Go get me a Troy Polamalu. Get me a playmaking safety on the back end who is your quarterback of the secondary, just like John Beeson will be for the linebacker core when he comes back.
Do you have to have a flashy guy in the linebacker core, or is it you don't just want to plug somebody in there and say, hey, do your job? Do you want to have somebody stand out, since we just noted that there's not going to be a big guy coming out of in this class, but maybe it's somebody you can just plug in there to hold until maybe we free up some money, some cap room, to go out and get one of these bigger names?
I would think so. I guess listen to you talk about linebackers. Thomas Davis, what is the guy's future? I mean, when you're hurt and then you're hurt again, will he be a viable player for us next year? I think Beeson will. But to that point, I'm not so sure if what we have will not work. Well, we got to freshen it up.
And here's the real problem we've got is that we're number 3 in cap space. We have very little cap room right now. we're number 3 in the league on how much cap space we've used up. So that really is going to limit us into what we can get as far as free agents go. Unless, I mean, they'll probably restructure Davis's contract, because you can't pay him what he was going to be paid with all the injuries to what Ed's point was.
Well, and another guy who plays a key part in that is Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Does he, do what Peyton Manning did for the Colts? Does he take maybe a little hometown discount to maybe stay the star in town? Or is he going to take up more of that cap space trying to get paid?
Yeah.
Where's his mindset? I feel like he wants to stay in Carolina. He's comfortable here with the offense now. But again, what does he choose to do?
A very interesting offseason coming up. Very interesting.
Let me, before we move on to the next topic, just talk about how much Cam Newton has invigorated this team. New head coach Ron Rivera coming in from San Diego. Like we talked about, all we watched all this year, they're in the games all this season. Unfortunately, they kept, in it to the fourth quarter, and then they got sort of
giving it up on the other side.
Just talk about how much it will energize coming up in this new season.
Oh, I think that everybody, we have nowhere to go but up with Cam Newton. I mean, his upside, as long as he doesn't get hurt, he scares me to death when he takes these nosedives into the end zone.
Wearing no mouthpiece.
Yeah, no mouthpiece, but
Stuff that grill.
yeah, but I mean, I think that the upside potential on the offense is fantastic. And I'm hoping that Shedzinski doesn't leave.
Well, the upside to the offense is, what's the question mark with any young quarterback? It's year 2. Look at Sam Bradford. Some people say he took a step back in year 2. Yeah. Peyton Manning's second year in the league, he still wasn't really up to speed.
Sophomore jinx.
Yes. Yeah. So, to your credit, to what you're saying, the offense, what do they do on offense to keep Cam Newton rolling, to keep him comfortable and not just throw him to the wolves?
There is something in the inner Cam Newton, the psyche of this man, that I don't think there will be a sophomore jinx. There is a driven mechanism in him that I think he's just going to take what he learned from this year and even be better next year. Yeah. I don't see that sophomore jinx at all.
Moving to a little more of a somber tone, we had the passing, and Joe Pa was laid to rest yesterday as we're taping this. We're sort of taping ahead here. Just talk about the legacy as quickly as you can, the legacy of Joe Pa.
Well, obviously, he's a fixture at Penn State. Sure. I was never a big Joe Pa fan, but you can't take away from the longevity and then the consistency that he had as far as a coach. Yeah. I think, as JP said earlier when we were talking, he doesn't have a great success rate of people going into the NFL. But as far as a consistent teams at Penn State, I mean, you got to give it to them. They were there.
Yeah.
I'll say this, in a business that is cutthroat, and we all know from following sports that coaching is a cutthroat business, to keep your job for 40 plus years, you were doing something right. You have to take, when you talk about players, take off the field issues out of the equation. What did he do for young men? What did he do on the football field for the better of the university? Did he make it a better place? The question is, the answer is yes, he did. Therefore, he leaves a good legacy behind once you factor out the individuals, because individuals bring people down who don't deserve it.
Sure. Jimmy Cephalo said it yesterday, Chaz. He said, the legacy of Joe Paterno is us. All the players, all the students, all the lives he had touched in a positive way, helping us grow from boys to manhood. And we are his legacy. And I thought that was very cool. The memorial service today, they're going to have a key player from each one of his decades, starting in the 60s. Wow. I think Charles Pittman is going to be speaking first. And it's going to be a memorial, a true memorial for just a great icon to that university. So, rest in peace, Joe Pa.
Exactly. I think the legacy, sort of what I remember just doing the research, was that the guy, there was never a 3-season consecutive that they weren't out of a bowl. And just looking at the 30-something years he was there, 40-something
46,
years. Yeah, 46 doggone years up there at one place, that he was able to sort of get this team going in a great direction. And the unfortunate part is how he left. Let's sort of touch on real quick about the BCS. I hate the BCS. I think it's one of the silliest things that has ever been created.
Absolutely.
If you were to create a sort of playoff system, or maybe go back to the old bowl system, what would be your recommendation? You're sitting in the boardroom up in some swanky New York hotel making a pitch to the commissioners of these conferences. What would be your choice?
Well, personally, I would use the bowl system that we have, and I would I would use the lesser bowls as the playoff, and I'd use maybe the top 4 bowls that are out there as maybe the semifinals or the finals, if you will, and then you have a +1 bowl, like a lot of people talk about, to play the final championship game. To me, you still use the bowls. You may lose some of your conference affiliations with the bowls from time to time, but who cares?
Yeah.
At least you have a true playoff. I mean, it works in Division II. Why can't we do it in Division I?
Yeah.
Well, I even go a step further. You use the bowls, but you take the top 8 teams, and then you go to 4, and then you go to 2, which is kind of what the NFL does, except they get a bye week. But don't have a bye week. You know, let the teams play their conference championships, take 2 weeks off. Your top 8 teams get 2 weeks to prepare to get healthy after the conference championships, and then they go into an 18 playoff, and you play it out just like a bracket.
Yeah.
All of that to include tightening up the schedule. Tighten up the schedule. Quit these, a month between key games.
I don't like that myself.
The interest becomes lost. Let's have by this date it's done, and let's have it done and have a true champion.
I don't understand in between, the conference championships or that first Saturday in November, roughly about, and then you have like a month off between the national champion. I could, by the time it rolls around, I really don't care.
Basketball's not like that.
Yeah, it's so consecutive. It's so
Well, the argument is always that they can't take that much time off school, but they do it in basketball.
They sure do.
Well, not
they
to
do it
mention-
in the lower bowls.
Well,
the lower
Division II, Division III, they do the same thing.
I know,
and that's why I
exactly.
say, people worried about too many games. Well, just do the top 8 teams. You lose, you're out. That's what the NFL does. There is no second chance. There's no losers bracket. You win, you continue to play.
Who wants to see the Little Caesars Pizza Bowl in the first place?
Right.
I know.
I mean,
Who cares?
I'm glad that Bowling Green and Montana State are going to some sort of bowl game.
Well,
But
with a 500 record?
yes, let's go out there and charge
Mediocrity.
high five on
Yeah.
a 6-6, 7-7 season. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
We're doing that. That makes no
sense.
sense.
No
It's-
sense.
Get it. Like you said, if they want to start off with top 4 teams, in 3 years work their way up to 8.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to go to 16.
No, and that's why I made the point. Just make it 8. It's still short enough that people stay interested, and you give people a playoff bracket. Now they can, well, who do you have going all the way? And you can see the bets and the crazy YouTube videos that come out of it. That would be a great scenario for college football, if you ask me.
I think they sort of lost the bowl system has lost their whole impact over the past couple of years.
Well, what's holding up the +1 right now is Ohio State. Ohio State does not want to give up the affiliation with not Ohio. Well, Ohio State is the main one, but the Big Ten does not want to give up their affiliation with the Rose Bowl.
Oh, wow, the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, who cares?
Make sure you send all your Rose Bowl hate letters to George.
That's right. That's right.
When we come back, we're going to talk about more football with some semi-pro guys. Football isn't over here in Charlotte just because the Panther season over. You got a lot of spring football coming up, and we'll talk to the guys from the Lake Norman Fear right after this.
Nice. Yes, go. Yes. No. Oops. Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Moms everywhere are finding ways to keep kids active and healthy.
Works every time.
Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov.
Yeah. Salad on Saturday, fruit on Friday, throw a ball Thursday.
Water Wednesday, touch your toes Tuesday. Let's move Monday, sparkles next Sunday.
60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. So keep them active and eating well every day. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
Welcome back, folks. The sports fans here in Charlotte, you don't have to wait till next August for football season to start back up again. We have 3 guys here who can tell you it's going to continue on later on this year, around April, March, May time frame here with the Lake Norman Fear. I'm pleased to be joined by 3 guys here. You got Steve Taylor, owner, founder of the Lake Norman Fear. You got Corey Taylor over here in the middle, one of the player and also co-founder. He's almost like the Georgia Hallis of, I guess, the Charlotte area. And then you got Quinn Martin over there, the new head coach of the team. Welcome all 3 of you guys. Let's start off with you here, Steve. Tell us a little about the Lake Norman Fear.
Well, we started out as an opportunity for young people to get involved and have an alternative to hanging out and getting in trouble is how we actually got started. Hope at Lake Norman stands for helping other people excel at Lake Norman. And what we tried to do was offer an opportunity for young people that are graduating high school or just getting out of college to have something else to do. When I graduated high school, we either went to work, got a job, went to college, or went in the military. These days, the kids don't have those same opportunities for different reasons. And what we try to do is give them an opportunity to do something better themselves, get involved with the community, and stay healthy and athletic at the same time. So that's how we started the program. And the last 2 years ago was our first season, and our 3rd season's coming up this year starting in May.
Okay. So anybody who wants to go out there, it's with the Gridiron Developmental Football League.
Yeah, we're in the GDF. GDFL is the Gridiron Development League. And the whole league is about offering opportunities for young people. It's not just our team. And the GDFL, or Gridiron Development League, is our league that we compete in, and they consist now of 118 teams across the country, and we're in the Appalachian Division right here.
And Corey, I was reading up a little about this, that all these teams in that Appalachian Division are relatively pretty close. You got a team up in Asheville, if I'm correct, team down in Fayetteville. What is it like not having to drive all the way to Pittsburgh or Baltimore to play in a game?
Well, it's 2 hours, I think, longest drive for us, so it ain't that bad.
So once you build up that fan base, you can just, spend a night up and, watch a football game. Maybe that Sunday go to the Biltmore Hotel or something like that. So it's how good is it to have close teams?
Oh, it's real good.
So
real fun.
What's it like playing on the team also? How much camaraderie, how much fun do you have?
I have a passion for football.
Yeah.
I like to go out there and hit somebody and get away with it. So.
Sound like
it's
some
fun.
Of the mixed martial arts guys I talk to every once in a while and get on vacation just hitting somebody. Quinn, I come to you. What's it? How you're the new head coach? How's it been so far building this new team?
Well, what I'm trying to do is just kind of build on what Coach Taylor started. I came on last year as offensive coordinator, and I learned right away that the program had a lot of potential. So what I've tried to do is kind of take it to the next level. My idea is just kind of build it, kind of beyond football and kind of total program, meaning that it's not just football, it's also the community, the cheerleaders, volunteering. So we want to kind of be total program, and that's the thing I stress. I mean, obviously, I love football, and football end of is important, but I also try to make people believe that it's also a larger picture other than just football.
Yeah. How much retention do you have so far from the team from last year, and do you have tryouts coming up pretty soon? What's up to play for the guys who are watching this right now, thinking, I can get up in there and do something? What type of guy are you looking for?
Well, the thing is, when thinking about football, it doesn't matter what level of football you're at, whether it be Pee Wee, high school, college, pro. There's always the next guy ready to take your place. So each person has to show up ready to play. Yeah. So if you're the starting receiver from last year, that's nice, but there may be a guy coming behind you that's better. So if you don't produce, then the next guy, can come in. So anybody that shows up that is in shape and can learn the playbook and wants to play is going to be on the field. So it doesn't matter that there's a guy there that was there from before. If that guy's better, he plays. So anybody that wants to come out and play, by all means, come out and play.
Steve, if I read correctly on you guys' website, you had a guy who played for NC State I believe he went on to win like a championship in another indoor football league, if I'm correct.
Yeah, the NC State guy was our quarterback, Sean Sigmund, and he actually played behind Philip Rivers at NC State when Philip Rivers was there. And I'm not familiar with his other football, but I know after NC State, he came with us and played with us for the last 2 years.
Yeah. This area has a wealth of football talent around here. Some people think, you have recruits down in Florida and Texas and all the other places, but North Carolina has some great guys. Are you finding that out? Some guys coming through with some of the players coming in?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I was a head coach in Florida and won a championship in Florida with a team, so I know the talent in Florida. And this area has a lot of good talent. It's just getting them out there and getting them to work together as a team to be the best that we can be, really.
Yeah. What's been the challenges, I guess, for the past couple of years? Is it finding players, trying to build that fan base around here? Because people think once spring rolls around, hey, it's, baseball and the end of the college basketball season. Do you think it's sort of hard trying to find that football's still around once the spring rolls around?
It's pretty hard. And getting everybody to practice.
Yeah.
We're in NASCAR country, so we're not in football country, but we make it.
Yeah, once baseball rolls around and NASCAR rolls around, people somehow forget about football until August rolls around. I'm just trying to think of what are some things you guys are trying to do as far as in the community aspect. You could probably touch on that a little bit, Steve.
Yeah, well, some of the things that we try to be involved in and what we're founded on, helping other people excel, is we like for not just our players but our cheerleaders too. We like to have them involved in the community. We go out and do some things in the community, involved with some other organizations as well. And as far as recruiting the people, you touched on that. Yeah, we're always looking for talent and new people, and our tryouts are coming up February the 25th, and there'll be information posted on our website about that. And
I'll magically make that appear on the bottom of the screen.
Okay, and it'll be on our website. And the cheerleaders, they've just had a recent tryout. We recruited new talent for this coming cheerleading season, and we're also looking for them at the same time we're looking for football players. But we do encourage involvement in the community, and we try to preach that at practice and amongst our board of directors, which is the Hope at Lake Norman board.
Yeah. Quinn, I'm going to say this, it's semi-professional football. Am I correct?
Well, I like the term minor league football because when you think of semi-pro, you're thinking of paying players. And we don't pay our players because our goal is to get them into college.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is we try to say, look, come with our program. You just graduated high school, and we're going to try to help mentor you as a person, also as a football player. We're going to encourage them to get into college, junior college, continue your education. Because if you decided you want to go on to North Carolina or UNC Charlotte, which is starting football, or Catawba College, you still have the opportunity to play football, but it's harder if you're not in any kind of shape.
Yeah.
It's harder if you stop playing out of high school and you're out of college for 2 years and you haven't done anything except maybe run wind sprints. What we're trying to do is say, look, go to school, get your education. Okay, we'll mentor you. We will ask you how you're doing. We'll give you any kind of assistance we can. Okay, and we're saying, look, come play for us. We'll keep you in shape. We will still teach you the game of football. Okay, we will get film for you to give to your new colleges if you decide to do that. So we're trying to say, even though you graduated high school and you didn't go on to play football at a college, your dream is not dead. You can still play.
Is it a challenge on one hand that it is a minor league, or is it a great opportunity because they are hopefully still have that learning sponge going in, and maybe you're playing it in the off season, you can take this on to wherever you're going to play in the fall?
Well, I don't consider it a challenge because you have both. We have the ex-college player that played. We have the ex-professional player that played. We have that element, but we also have the young player that also has aspirations to go to college. So it's kind of an interesting mix of older guys and younger guys. And what I like about it is that the older guys that have been there, done that, can mentor the young guy and say, look, I did that. I was at NC State, played with Phillip Rivers. I went to Georgia Tech and played. You have the opportunity to do that. So take your behind to school, do what you're supposed to do, stay out of trouble, and we will help you get there. But you have to do your part. Mm-hmm. So we're just kind of like a stopgap type thing.
It's a great lesson to have that positive role model out there, because unfortunately we all see that sort of in sports sometimes, where guys sometimes go astray in off season and doing all this stuff. But to have that positive thing, working their way up, you know, I don't know about the age group. I'm thinking you have relatively younger guys.
I would say 18 to 35.
Mm-hmm. That's about right.
Yeah, 18 to 35.
And they're just doing it out there. Some of the guys out there are just doing it just to have fun.
Because they love it.
Yeah,
they love it. They've already been through college, and they still feel like they can play. And they're married with children, and they have families, and they have a full-time job, and they're like, oh my God, I get to go out here Saturday night and play football.
And it's still contact. It's still, you're playing with NFL, NCAA rules, so it's not out there.
They still have the passion, some of them, that they're graduated either high school or college. Just because their season's over doesn't mean you can't play football anymore.
Yeah.
This gives another opportunity for the guys that still have the passion to come out and compete. And like you said, yes, it is NFL rules. We go strictly by the NFL rules. And the guys get to learn from Coach Quinn and the other coaching staff, not just how to play football, but like Coach Quinn mentioned, how to get acclimated to get into school or get back into school.
Do you have room for a 28, 29 semi-handsome man out there to try his quest of being never?
You know what? You come out there, I'll throw you 2 passes a game.
And I'll drop 2 of them and not even look at the third. With the short time we have left, tell the fans and people out there who are interested where they can go to find out more about the team.
Our website is www.lknfear.com. Mm-hmm. You can get there at LakeNormanFearFootball.com. There's several ways to get there, but the easiest way is www.lknfear.com.
You have guys have a fan page.
We have fan page. We have Facebook pages. Our cheerleaders just posted new photographs on the Facebook.
I'm all about that.
Facebook page. We do a calendar, annual calendar.
I'll buy 3.
Cheerleaders.
When does the season start?
The season starts at the end of May, and our practices are February 25th.
Let me get your Super Bowl picks coming up in a short time.
You go first.
Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are mad. I see Patriots blowout.
And I don't like you. Go ahead.
I'm going for the Giants. I don't like Patriots.
I am semi.
I just got to go with who I think will win, the Patriots.
There you go. I'm not having these guys. Guys, thank you very much for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Coming back up, we'll have NFL awards picks with the guys from Sports Chatter 101. We'll return in just a moment.
Packers. Vikings. Packers. Vikings. Vikings.
Red state, blue state, vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown. Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities, our families,
united.
Even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
$7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks, more than 4 miles long. We can keep Charlotte students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
welcome back. It's now time to hand out some awards with these guys, some MVPs, some best coaches of the year. But I'm going to start with the most improved team from last season.
Oh, wow. The most
I changed it up on you. You don't have that in your notes, do you?
Wow. That's a good question.
Clearly San Francisco 49ers. I mean, what the coach has done there and the leadership has done there with a lot of basically the same players.
Yeah.
The Niners were impressive. Too bad they lost to the Giants in the NFC Championship, but Harbaugh has done a wonderful job out there.
Well, I hate to say it, but what about the Broncos?
Timmy Tebow, you think he sparked something in that team from?
No, I didn't bring up Timmy Tebow. I
said
the Broncos.
I said the Broncos.
No,
sorry,
I was actually trying to give kudos to Fox, as hard as it is for me to do. But I mean, they turned the team around considering.
I was going to say that first half of the season, even though we didn't mention. Well, I mentioned Timmy Tebow. The first half of their season, they weren't doing so well. They wouldn't probably been in that spot of making a playoff berth without him. Do you think?
Well, no, without their defense, they wouldn't have been in that spot. Tebow didn't do anything but manage the game like what Fox always does, which is no more than Jake did when he was here, except for his blow up in the Arizona playoff game. But I think the fact that their defense was as good as it was is what really kept them in the games. What do you guys think?
I agree with you, but my surprise team, Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
With a rookie quarterback, a rookie wide receiver.
That's a good one, too.
You know, your franchise quarterback in Carson Palmer basically said, I don't want to play here. I'm done with the franchise. He basically quit on you. Say what you want to say, but he quit on your franchise. And to have Andy Dalton step in with a leadership role that he took on that offense, and then you had A.J. Green, who was arguably almost all-pro as a wide receiver rookie. I thought they took a step in the right direction. But again, year two. When people know what you can do, what happens? Because that's always, I hate to come back to that, but that's always what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Exactly.
Who was the most disappointing team of last year?
Well, I mean, the hype that they got, obviously, is the dream team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. Now, I don't know if that's because of talent or lack of coaching or all of the above or kind of, the blend of chemistry in the locker room. But that's a huge disappointment for that city and for that franchise.
I would have sworn you would have said the Steelers.
They made the playoffs.
They made the playoffs.
He's a big Steeler fan. That's
a lot of injuries, but no, really Philadelphia, the other end of the state.
Now, I also give the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I understand you lost Brett Favre, but you still had Jared Allen on the defense. I mean, defensive tackles, the Williams brothers, the Williams combo was still there. Adrian Peterson is still there.
First part of the season.
What happened to Minnesota? It was like the team just went to shambles in a half a year.
That's true.
So that was a big surprise to me because I fully expected them to at least make a wild card run.
Or compete.
I mean, when you have Adrian Peterson, you fully expect them to at least be competing.
Well, and I'll tell you, another team, although not as big as either of those two, but the Rams.
They weren't that. I don't think they were that good.
No, I mean
year,
they weren't great last year, but I mean they went backwards this year.
Mm-hmm.
They showed absolutely zero improvement, and you would have thought that they would have, based on what they did last year, they would have built off of it. And I mean they weren't going to be a championship team, but they should have been in contention. I would have thought.
You think Jeff Fisher's going to be able to help them out?
Oh yeah. I mean,
well, they have the second draft pick, right? And they have, I think they have two other big top draft picks coming up too. So he's set up, and with Bradford can come back. It'll be great shape.
And what sort of, this is the whole business side of the sport, but those are Minnesota that we mentioned and St. Louis are also in contention to move out of their respective cities with trying to build a new franchise out there in Los Angeles. So we'll see how that shakes out in a couple of months. Who are you going to give the best coach of the year?
I think it's probably got to be Harbaugh out in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. I go Harbaugh, but I could also say for what John Fox did again. The way that he changed his offense, he changed his way that his team played the game. He bought into his players, which is what we want coaches to do, correct? You buy into your players, you buy into the franchise. So I would almost say executive of the year goes to John Elway for what he did with that football team. Brand new coaching staff, young quarterback. I could throw John Fox's name in the mix as well.
How about mid-season though? Tom Coughlin was going to be. They were going to, he was going to get
He's always
five.
on.
I was going to say, is that any different?
Like every
So if he wins the Super Bowl this coming weekend, is he coach of the year?
Wow.
It's hard to. I would guess so. Who would have thought? They came down to the last week of the season, contending with that playoff spot with Dallas. He's always on death's door.
All those road wins.
Yeah.
Well, somebody else I mean, it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but McCarthy, to keep that team at the high level they were at for 2 years straight, that's quite a coaching job right there.
Yeah, and the guys out there in Green Bay, they how did they lose? I know we're going to talk about the playoffs coming up, but I would have thought they would have been a sure lot to get back to the Super Bowl whenever they started this year. How did they was it like that last couple of weeks where they lost to Kansas City and they just got so rattled?
You're talking to Packers.
Yeah.
Well, Matt Flynn did a wonderful job, right? So Aaron Rodgers is sitting idle for 3 weeks, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Rodgers!
Yeah.
Sitting idle for 3 weeks, and then it's time, hey, you guys got to win the game.
Yeah.
And they were just not the team that we saw all year.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard this said best from former players on different various shows through the years. You can't turn it off and on like a light switch. The time off hurt that offense, no matter what you want to say, because that offense is based off timing. Aaron Rodgers is taking 1, 2, 3, throw the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, throw the ball. When that is just a little bit off, then receivers drop balls. The pass is not there when they expect it. I don't like the time off. Continue to play. I agree with Bill Belichick. It's the fourth quarter, and I'm only up 4 touchdowns. I'm going to have Brady punt. I'm going to continue to do what I need to do to win the ball game.
Mark the tape. He agreed with Belichick. Mark the tape.
I agree with the way he coaches his team because he will tell you, I coach to win. I don't coach to get guys rest. They get paid to play for me, and I'm going to go win ball games. And everybody that rests players, they lose in the playoffs. The Colts did it. The Packers did it. Belichick never does it.
You need to have that rhythm.
Yep, he either wins or loses with his guys, and that's just, I don't like the time off.
There you go. What about offensive player of the year and defensive player of the year? You got some picks out there?
Well, the offensive player, I'm going to save that one for the MVP. Offensive player of the year, that's a good question. I mean, Cam Newton's got to be in consideration for that, I think, just because of all the records that he achieved.
Yeah.
Another player that obviously you've got, although I think they'll probably be going for the MVP, but Tom Brady with the 39 touchdown passes, and Drew Brees with the yardage. Both of those guys obviously deserve consideration, I think.
I think the MVP, the most valuable player for a franchise, is Cam Newton. Okay, clearly what he did for the entire team, for the whole city, the franchise, and everything. Offense, Andy Dalton.
Are you saying for the franchise or for the league?
I'm saying MVP for the league.
Yeah.
You know who my MVP for the league is? Peyton Manning. He's the most valuable player. A
lot of people have said that. Most valuable non-player.
On a serious note, I go Drew Brees because he understands his offense. And I'm telling you, if you take Drew Brees out of that offense, it does not run the same.
Yeah, I agree.
As far as players that played, he's the most valuable player
records
to that team.
too.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
No, I go, definitely.
Well, I think he should be the MVP of the league. Now, when it comes to the offensive player of the league, there's so many ways.
Well, I agree with everybody saying. I'm just saying, for me personally, Drew Brees would still get my vote in that also, for what he did.
I'm pretty sure I know who it's going to be. Got a rookie of the year?
Offensive?
Doesn't matter. Just pure rookie of the year.
I'm going to go out on a limb and go against probably what some other people say. I'm going to say Andy Dalton for what he did in that organization and the toughness. I'm not going off just stats.
I can believe it. I can believe
for what he did for that football team, the mess, because he got handed a mess when Carson Palmer left. No offense, but he came into a bad situation.
Yeah.
So to team with another rookie, make almost a playoff run and almost get there. I mean, they're a half a game out of the playoffs. So for him to do that, throwing numbers aside, as far as being a rookie,
can't console him
I can say Andy Dalton.
I agree with JP because not only did he bring the football talent of the field, he brought leadership in the clubhouse. And a lot of the players say.
Isn't he a redhead too?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait. Hello. But I understand your argument is going to be for Cam Newton, correct?
Well, not necessarily. I just don't think it should be Andy Dalton.
Okay.
I mean, I think Cam Newton should either be Rookie of the Year or the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I think he deserves one of those, whichever one it gets. Although today, the Sporting News named him the Rookie of the Year, which is not the official one, but that's the official one comes out next
with
week.
a lot of notoriety.
But I think you have to consider DeMarco Murray. I mean, he had a heck of a season.
But
with the Cowgirls.
DeMarco Murray played in about half the games that Andy Dalton and Cam Newton played in, though. So to only do that,
yeah, but
for
he
a
had
3-game
674 yards on only 100 carries.
Yeah, but that's about a 4 or 5 game stretch. That's not a whole season. Cam Newton and Andy Dalton started from day one.
And then if you're talking Rookie of the Year, what about Von Miller at Denver?
Yeah, guy from A&M.
See, that's my defensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I agree, but he could
Miller.
also have consideration for Rookie of the Year too. I thought.
I just feel like with the numbers the quarterbacks threw up, he can't compare stat-wise in a lot of people's eyes for Rookie of the Year. But
no, that's true. But when you look at
yes.
you look at the numbers that Cam Newton threw up, how can you compare Cam Newton? I mean, Andy Dalton to Cam Newton
Most
the rookie.
Most out of a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, most touchdowns, the
but
most
it depends.
yards.
Do I vote that? Do I place my vote solely on yards or what he means to his team and his franchise? Because the MVP should be about the team.
Well,
also
we have.
what he does
Would
for
the
his team.
Panthers have won 6 games without Cam Newton?
No way.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's. I understand your point.
But would Dalton would he have carried the Cincinnati on?
See, that's my point. So I understand your point. I'm just making a counterpoint that there are 2 guys that you could vote for. That you could vote for.
Playoffs.
So either way.
I'm getting 2 minutes left here in this segment. Let's talk about MVP before we move on to our commercial break here.
I think clearly it has to be Drew Brees.
Yeah.
I mean, with setting the TD records, what he did with his team, it has to be him. The only other 2 that I would consider would be Brady and Rodgers.
Yeah.
And
it seemed like it was a down year for Brady. To me, it was maybe because I'm a
well,
Jets fan and
he scored 39. He threw 39 touchdown passes, so it wasn't really a down year.
I know. I just always.
I agree. It's a 3-horse race. Brady's my 3rd pick. I go Brees Rodgers.
I'm right with you as well. Yeah, what Brees does for the city of New Orleans, and too bad they couldn't make it to the championship.
Yeah,
setting the record and all, and inspirational leader for that team. MVP.
He was, disclosure, the Saints were my Super Bowl pick, but apparently that didn't seem to work out. It was a great game, though, that San Francisco Saints game.
Oh, yes, that was a wonderful game.
But I guess I would have to give it to Brees, and we're going to have to give out a Super Bowl trophy to somebody at the end of the show, which is coming up right after this. We got Super Bowl picks. Who's going to win the big game? Break out your pen and paper. Maybe you might learn something. See you after this.
Yeah. Salad on Saturday, fruit on Friday, throw a ball Thursday.
Water Wednesday, touch your toes Tuesday. Let's move Monday, swap us next Sunday.
60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. So keep them active and eating well every day. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
right, folks, we're back, and now the time has come for the Super Bowl picks. My buddy Ken Hall isn't here, but he did tell me that he thinks the Giants are going to win the Super Bowl. We actually have a tape of him making predictions earlier this year, so here that is, just to get a little giggle out of this.
Baltimore, and the Jets.
And the Jets. I mean,
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Wow, that's a bold statement.
Yep. Philip Rivers will not win.
Taking your wild cards were
Indy and New England.
New England.
Giants are kind of a sleeping giant. Detroit.
Detroit. Wow.
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Yeah.
Kevin Cobb is going to lead Arizona.
That's not a bad.
Dallas. Tony Romo.
Dallas back in the playoffs.
Yep. Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. Yes, we got 2. $4 and $12 for his Super Bowl, for his picks. Who's winning the division? Can't razz him. He's picking the Giants, but we wish him good. He's out there in Chattanooga with the Davidson basketball team. Guys, you're on the hot seat now. Did you guys see how this NFL would shape out? How whenever we start to get into the playoffs, do you think these were the 2 teams, the Giants and the Patriots, would have made it this far?
I would have thought the Patriots would have made it this far, but there's no way I would have ever thought the Giants were going to make it this far. I figured it was either going to be San Francisco or New Orleans. I thought.
Yeah, I had New Orleans, and I think Baltimore.
Baltimore.
I had Baltimore making it all this far.
I was going to say, because I had Green Bay and New Orleans in the NFC Championship game is actually who I picked. Depending on how matchups shaked out, but that's who I had in the NFC Championship game, and then I had Green Bay beating them.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, I was like you, I had Baltimore.
Yeah. I knew there was going to be an upset somewhere along the lines, but I had I put up a bracket whenever just before the playoffs started, and I had Cincinnati going, and I had the Giants, and I had a couple of teams other in there.
Were you playing beer pong right before you did this?
Some libations were going around, some boredom at work, so you go back in there. Ed, did you see this thing playing out?
I tell you, New England, you don't pay much attention to them, but they're there. They're there every year, and Belichick has a way, whether he has a lousy defense or not. So, no surprise there. Of course, the Giants are the surprise, and Eli is bigger than we thought he was, or at least Eli is coming along bigger than anyone ever thought. Is he an elite quarterback?
Yeah.
And that's the question on Sunday.
And that was the question that was being asked earlier in the year and I think he said he's among the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, and
Eli,
the little brother, he's not out
Well,
there.
Charlie, I say this to counter that argument. You have Brady and Manning, who are the quote-unquote gold standard right now in the NFL for the past 6 years.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from Breeze or Rodgers, but let's be honest, Rodgers has only been a starter for about 3 years. So he's reaching that upper echelon. Who else do you put in a category above him when you say Brady and his older brother Peyton? Who's above Eli? He's won a Super Bowl. He's been Super Bowl MVP. I question everybody saying he's not, because who else do you put above him?
Yeah. And it seemed like the same teams for the past couple of seasons have been in there. The Giants have been in there for the past couple of years. Brady's been in there.
Colts have been in there.
The Colts, Peyton. It's time to break it down. Who are your picks for winning the Super Bowl?
Well, in my heart, I want New England to win. But New England has no defense. And Brady has shown that he gets rattled when he gets pressure on him. And the Giants do that very well. They pressure the quarterback. So the logical pick to me is the Giants, because their offense is functioning pretty much on all cylinders right now, and their defense is much better than the Patriots. Although when you look at the numbers, they're very close. But when you look at the numbers, the Patriots actually have more offensive firepower than what the Giants give up, or closer to what the Giants give up. But the Giants' pressure, I think, is the key. If they get pressure on Brady, I think the Giants will win, because Brady has shown the last couple of years that when he gets pressured, he gets rattled, and that's the end of the game.
I'm changing my pick.
Oh, no.
I agree with your statement. The key matchup in this game is the Giants' defensive line against the Patriots' O-line. How does Logan Magnus and that group play against Justin Tuck, OCU Manure, and Jason Pierre-Paul? But Brady and Belichick, when they play you the second time, and they have that revenge factor in the back of their head,
because this will be the second time they play.
It's not good for you. And they're still holding on. Brady has publicly said, I do not watch highlights from the other Super Bowl. It sickens him. He's kind of like Nick Saban is with Alabama. It was hard to bet against Alabama that second game because when you give that team that much time, Belichick is a master motivator when it comes to things like this.
They showed a clip on the NFL show that they do on Showtime. And at the end of the game, they showed where Brady went up to Kraft and told him, he says, I will be much better in 2 weeks.
Does Brady want to be a 3-2 quarterback in the Super Bowls or a 4-1? Does he want to be in the likes of Bradshaw and Montana, his boyhood idol, Joe Montana, or does he want to be a 3-2 quarterback in the Super Bowl? I think that, the revenge factor. There's nine players on the Patriots that played in this 2007. So, I mean, there is a thirst and a hunger there, and the leadership of Belichick, I say New England's going to win it. But JP brings up some great points with this Giants defense. So as you hear these discussions go back and forth, you can easily talk yourself into one way or another. I got to go on the line. I'll say the Patriots are going to win this one.
And Brady even mentioned during that post-game celebration when they gave him the trophy out for the AFC Championship game, he didn't play all that well during that championship game. And the Baltimore's defense seems to be more in line, if I'm correct, with the Giants.
I think you're right. I think you're right, Chaz.
How do you?
Well, that's what I was saying. When when you put pressure on Brady, he gets rattled and he throws the ball early. Or the ball tends to sail on him. I mean, by all rights, Baltimore should have won that game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the drop pass, although to me, I still think that they should have reviewed that pass that was in the end zone right before they missed the field goal. To me, it looked like he had it long enough for that to have been a catch.
Control
exactly. And then they missed the field goal. So, by all rights, they should have lost that game. And that was all because of Brady.
And a given Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's what worries me with the Giants also. Young wide receivers who haven't played on this stage. Victor Cruz is a 6th-round pick out of a small college.
He's hot.
I'm not trying to be mean or wish the guy will ill here, but what happens when he gets in front of them bright lights and it counts? Because the 49ers went through that against the Giants with a young 6th-round pick returning punts. He doesn't usually do it if Ted Ginn's not hurt. And what happens? He makes 1 or 2 little mistakes. The Giants take advantage of it and ball there. So again, the Giants have veteran defensive linemen, but Jason Pierre-Paul is only in his 2nd year in the league too. So this is a big stage. The Patriots have more guys, Vincent Wilfork, guys who have been there for Brady, who are going to fit in line with, we know what it takes to do this.
Over and under, I think, is 55 on this game. Oh, that's a lot of points.
Yeah, that is. And to me, the defense of the New England Patriots, are they going to be a little rattled going against what you said, the run game will come into a little bit of factor, throwing those long balls inside that Patriot defense? Could that be a little shaky so it can open up?
It could be, but again, when Bill Belichick has 2 weeks, has a defensive coach to watch,
he gets
film
inside
on
the Jedi.
Yes.
Well, to JP's point, Wilfolk on Sunday against the Ravens, he was a one-man wrecking.
Oh, he was.
He was shaking off 2 and 3 blocks at a time to get back in there and at least put pressure on Flacco. So you can't really count him out.
Have you ever seen a franchise use 3 tight ends like the Patriots are using? That's amazing.
That's the X factor to me as a tight end of the Patriots. Because who do you cover him with? A bigger outside linebacker who's slower or a smaller defensive back?
Well, and that's the one thing I think that where the Patriots have an advantage over the Giants is they can throw the ball long or they can throw the ball short. So if the Giants choose to defend the long ball, then they'll dink and dunk them.
Yeah.
If they choose to defend the short ball, then they'll go over their heads and go long. So that's where the Patriots have a distinct offensive advantage, I think.
I got a question. Will we have another great national anthem this time around?
I hope so. I hope so.
Who's singing it this time,
JP?
JP?
Kelly Clarkson. Kelly, I like you. do not make my list. That's all I'm going to say.
No Whitney Houston. We need a Whitney Houston, don't we?
Yes, we need a Whitney
Just
Houston.
bring back the Whitney track instead, so we won't have some of these
There you go.
screeching,
Just
hollering.
superimpose her
Not Steve
picture.
Tyler, huh?
Steve, I didn't see it, and he's a rocker, so I really didn't mind. I like people's different interpretation of the national anthem. And I'm glad hearing it. I don't like interpretations if you're adding in different lines and
Changing words.
Different beats or something.
You know, well, the greatest national anthem. This is getting off on a different tangent.
Yeah.
Was the Marvin Gaye's anthem at the '83 NBA.
Oh, JP, easy, big boy.
Oh,
easy.
you don't like that one?
No, I don't.
You're off the list now.
We all voted for Whitney.
Yeah.
Whitney's good.
1991.
That's classic.
When they used it at the commercials for the 2008 Olympics, that was gave me tingles.
Yeah.
But that's something totally different. We're getting ready to wrap up the show in just a second here, guys. Thank you very much for joining me.
Enjoyed having me.
Just make sure you check out Sports Chatter 101 with these guys. They're online. When do you have new episodes like?
We're on All Noise Radio on Sundays. It's on from
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock,
All
right?
Noise Radio. See us on the internet. And we're also on iTunes.
iTunes, yes.
We
On the
podcast.
iTunes, man, the Steve Jobs thing, they let anybody on that thing.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's why we like it.
We had to pay him, but they let us on.
That's fine. George, JP, Ed, thank you very much. Make sure to check us out in a couple of weeks here on Charlotte Sports Today. I'm Chaz Bryant. We'll see you next time.